Hey, and welcome to Breaking Bread, hosted by me, Krong Chocolate, a show where we break verbal bread with a quote-unquote enemy. Whenever Manchester City has an upcoming match, I will be here having a conversation with a supporter of City's upcoming opponent. You're getting the first 15 minutes of this recording live, free for the public ears. But if you find yourself enjoying this, we do plenty more content on our Patreon. For $6 a month, you can enjoy 20 plus hours of media that involves Breaking Bread, our match preview series, chopping it up, our interview series, where this week we'll be having on my friend Jack Gaughan, Northern sports reporter for the Daily Mail. We will be talking all things Manchester City. And since this is the third or fourth time I've had him on, I'm definitely asking some mischievous questions. That's kind of the easiest way to put it. And I will be in England for an entire week. First City match, going to City men versus Brighton, going to City women, the Champions League match, leg one against Chelsea. I will be planning on getting in all kinds of shenanigery, hooliganism. So a lot of the good stuff will be hidden behind our Patreon, and whatever I can will be on YouTube. So please subscribe to our $6 tier, where you can get plenty of amazing content and support an independent podcast network. But we are here to talk FA Cup. Manchester City, big bad Manchester City, reeling off of a horrendous week of football. But we have a chance to hopefully, Plymouth, they handled business against Liverpool. Well, they've knocked down a giant. They did what we couldn't. So maybe they're feeling themselves and can do it a second time. And to find out if they can, find out everything we can about Argyle, about the Pilgrims, we have welcoming on Archie of Pilgrims podcast. How's it going? How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. That's a hell of an intro. I need to I've got some inspo for our next pod now. I need to step up my game.
That's kind of how we do it over here. Very, very animated. What I always tell people is I try to be like over the top and really show and welcome our guest in, because most of the people that we work with, especially in circumstances like this could be potentially the first and last time that we might be on it. I would like to, grow this budding relationship. You never know. So I want to make sure that it's memorable, at least.
Yes. Yeah. No, you've left an impression. Hey, Crunk, it's a pleasure to be on. What a weird set of circumstances for us both, right, to be talking about my beloved Argyle against your beloved Blues, playing in the Cup in the 5th round. Very bizarre.
Yeah, the competition. And again, everything that I'm going to ask, I feel like it sounds like an asshole thing to say, but I mean it in the nicest way.
Right.
Is this like the deepest in the FA Cup that Argyle's gone?
No, so we got to the quarterfinal a few years ago. We got knocked out against Watford, who were in the Premier League at the time. In 2007.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, this is not quite uncharted territory, but we rarely make such a foray into the competition. And playing against 3 Premier League teams in a row, Brentford, Liverpool, now City. I off the top of my head, I don't know if that's ever happened before. It's whatever happens on Saturday, it will kind of go down in history to play the 2 kind of juggernauts of the Premier League from this era of football. It's one of those magical stories, right, that this cup does throw up every so often. But we've had a few in the past, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton we've played, but never 2 back-to-back like this. So that is special.
Definitely. As an American, once we saw Plymouth pop up, and there's kind of like a joke in my culture where it's like, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. So That's kind of been our little joke that we've been saying a lot, especially the moment that it was announced that we were playing each other. So it's going to be interesting. We host watch-alongs for for all our games, and I'm not the most punny of our group, but I definitely am. I've been working on some just like stupid jokes that I can be throwing in the watch along while we go. Yeah, I've been really looking forward to this conversation and really the match. Us playing Salford. My brain's blanking. That we've had another team that we played in the third tier. We've been able to have these conversations, match previews with other clubs, and it's been a really fun, like truly learning about all these different clubs. I get so bored talking to Chelsea fans and Brentford fans and Liverpool fans, and it's just like,
don't blame you.
So yeah, this is nice. Gonna talk about real heritage, real culture,
Yeah, I'm glad you got me on. No pressure. Real heritage, real culture.
Oh man,
I don't think Plymouth Argyle have been described in that way before, but I'll go with it for a while.
Well, let's start here. How did you fall in love with? We'll start with the sport of football, and then how did you become a supporter of Argyle?
So, like every boy in school, really, you're playing football at lunchtime, at break time, but I never had a team. I was aware of it. You're aware of this huge world that is football. It's kind of your first introduction into the outside world, outside your own house, really, watching TV and just mind blown by the different nationalities, the kind of extravagance of it all. But I didn't have a team. My dad wasn't a big football person, and I was on him. Let's go to Man United, Dad. Let's go to Man United. And we lived in Devon, which is out 8 hours away. And bless him, he won't take me to Man United. And Plymouth Argyle were 20 minutes down the road. We're just on the outskirts of Plymouth. And he took me one day in 2002 or 3, and we both fell in love with it from that day on. It was that quick and that simple. And I think the beautiful thing about it was that we discovered it together. It wasn't him dragging me by my ear, begrudgingly. We both kind of went willingly and loved every second of it. And that was a kind of magical era for us. We got promoted not long after into the championship with a really iconic team that's still spoken about now. So that I was very blessed to fall upon Argyle at that time. And yeah, but that's it really. That's it. And I've been with them ever since, and very glad I'm not a United fan, as I'm sure you are too.
I'm thrilled. Honestly, yes, Leighton Orient was the other podcast, the Orient Express, and chatting with them, they were a good time. And that's how he became a fan of Orient, was he wanted to go to a Premier League team and asked his parents, and his parents was like, bro, we have Orient right there. And they were offering kids season tickets for like really cheap. I think he was like 15 pounds for the season. And that was just kind of what they were offering for all the kids. And he's a part of a whole generation of Orient fans that started as their kids, and they've just been kind of building with it together. And I love this. And falling in love with the team or going with your dad, that's a really cool story too, because usually it is where it's like, yeah, my dad likes this team, but we're going to take you here, or things like that. So it's both of you going and being like, hey, this is a great vibe. I guess what exactly sold you on it, other than it being very close?
Well, the winning helped.
1,000%.
We were winning a lot, and like, whatever I was, 10, 11, 12, that's all you kind of look for. The locality does help. You're going into Plymouth to do shopping on the weekend with the family, and then we'd park at the stadium, and you go into the club shop, or you might see the manager walking around, or you'd go and those days you can go and watch training. If you didn't say a word and you sat there in the corner silently on the side of the training pitch, you could watch it. So it was kind of everywhere. You could kind of get into it any way possible. And that wouldn't have been possible with like Man United, who were 8 hours up the road, so you could really sink your teeth into it. So that was great. And I was always very aware of that. But yeah, so the locality was great, and us winning, to be honest with you.
That's fair. No, Very fair. Well, let's talk about the manager, your situation, and overall the playing style. So please tell me about your manager, Myron Muslik. Did I say that right?
Miron Muslic, close.
Yes. Okay. And I see very new. So you've had some. So this season has been an experience. Is that the easiest way to kind of generally put it?
You could say that. We had our old manager. You might know him, Wayne Rooney.
Yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we could do a pod on that. So we announced that in May of last year, and that really kind of catapulted us into the mainstream media. You know, we were everywhere across the world. Suddenly, people wanted to know who Wayne Rooney was managing. It started okay, but come October, it was just a train crash. Unfortunately, it just didn't work. We were getting thumped week on week and bottom of the table, and he got fired. Anyway, so you need to kind of understand that context of what our new manager's coming into. We're at a really low ebb, probably the lowest we've been in quite some time. Second managerial disaster in a row. So it's been the whole calendar year has been a bit of a write-off. We just survived relegation. We're looking bound for it again. You know, fans are at low ebb. So what do we do? This Miron Muslic comes in, recently been let go by Cercle Brugge in Belgium, Bosnian and Austrian nationality, and he is the complete opposite of Wayne Rooney. Now, I had the privilege of meeting Wayne once on a night out. Lovely bloke. But Miron Muslic speaks 4 languages, studies geopolitics in his time off, and likes to climb mountains. That's not what Wayne Rooney does in his time
at all.
So in just about every measurable metric, we've gone to the other extreme. He's an incredibly articulate bloke, got an amazing story, was a refugee that his family had to flee to Austria at the age of 11, changed school about 10 times. He's got an amazing backstory. And anyway, so we hire him, and this speech goes viral, his opening speech to the players, which I implore your listeners to look or search out. It's just amazing. And, you know, I'm like looking for a brick wall to run through my own house after I've watched it. It's that kind of vibe, you know? So he's come in and he's done very, very well. There's been some blips, but on the whole, he's done very well. And you've really got to understand that we were so low before he came in, and we turned down. We had our beloved Steven Schumacher, who I appreciate you won't know, but he was with us. He got promoted, had a lot of good success under him. And he left us for the prettier girl down the road. He left us. We were distraught. But then he was available suddenly. We all wanted him back, but we turned him down and went for this unknown in Miron Muslic, which was risky, and fans weren't sure. But I think now about 99% are well behind him. And honestly, if you just listen to the guy speak, it's hard not to get kind of engrossed in the phenomenon is Miron Muslic.
I mean, I don't want to stick on this Wayne Rooney subject, but we've seen it.
There's a lot of content. There's a lot of content.
Yeah, I know, right? He's gone to many clubs, and they've all kind of just gone horribly awry. And is it because I mean we see it in a lot of times where you have these like legendary players and then they try to manage and it just doesn't come out the right way. We've seen it here in American sports. Like I couldn't imagine Michael Jordan trying to be a manager, or there are these other greats where they just stay away from it because they just see football from a different way, or trying to describe it or get their vision through to other players sometimes just doesn't work. Do you think it was something like that, or how you even said it, Muslic is the complete opposite, was just Wayne Rooney? And obviously this is an opinion thing, so I don't want to set you up, but is it just Rooney is an oaf and he just shouldn't be managing?
Let me go on the defense of Wayne Rooney to offer some context or support to him. His first 2 roles at Derby and then DC were not terrible. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible. And I think they often kind of get clustered into it and make up that 50% of his managerial career, which I would say is unfair. I think the DC stuff was okay. Derby was more than okay because they had all sorts of financial issues and were literally playing kids. So some context there. The Birmingham stuff, there's no kind of 2 ways around. It was a disaster. Short, but a disaster. And then similar with us. I think the themes with Birmingham and us, where he tried to play a very expansive style of football that the players ultimately weren't capable of doing. And now, what makes a good manager? You have to be flexible, right, and deal with the hand of cards you've been dealt. And he seemed to be incapable of doing so. And you'd often get frustrated with the players in, post-match interviews. I'm trying to simplify it as much as I can for them.
Of course.
And he came across as the reality of the situation came across a generational talent frustrated at a team at the bottom of the second division, unable to do what he wants them to do. I appreciate that sounds really simplistic, but at times it kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
He's definitely not the most articulate bloke. Especially compared to our new bloke Miron. He's definitely not that. But we didn't hear much bad about him, to be honest. Even the chairman, since Wayne's left, has spoken about a lot of good he's done in the club, uniting the the people off the pitch. He literally broke down walls. He smashed down the wall in his office and made it a big open plan space. He would dump his bag in the office at the start of the day and just wouldn't be in there. He was very social and very good with people. So I don't want to demonize him, but it didn't work. And I'm not sure where he goes from here. I think